welcome back to my channel. So let's talk about Indy in this last episode of Love During Lockup. So Indy, she's still staying in Ohio at a motel, and her mom, sister, and brother are also staying in the same motel for a few days to help Indy get settled and prepare for Harry's release. So it's the night before Harry gets released, and Indy's packing a bag for Harry. She bought him some essentials like body wash, socks, boxers, and all that good stuff. And she bought him a flip phone so he can call her. And she bought 2 wedding bands that she's gonna bring. So Indy is convinced, as she shows up to the halfway house with the ring on and says she's Harry's wife, she believes that she'll have better chances of being able to see Harry. And let's be honest, we all know that's probably not going to make a damn difference. But Indy's convinced that she's going to be able to see Harry no matter what, as long as she claims they're married. But Indy hasn't even talked to the halfway house or planned anything to find out if she's able to even see Harry, even before moving all the way from Maryland to Ohio. Like, if that was me, as soon as I found out that Harry was going to be released, I would have called the halfway house right then and there and asked them about the phone privileges, about visitation and passes, what he can and can't have. I would have done all that already. But you can tell Indy is somewhat naive about the whole situation because she thinks everything's just going to be so easy peasy and work out in her favor just because that's her spiritual husband. And I'm also sure she could have done it quick, easy 5-second Google search of this halfway house to find out the rules online as well, because I remember when I was looking at halfway houses like 5 years ago before I got clean, like 90% of the halfway houses I looked up on Google, they had all the rules and restrictions listed online in detail. Like, Indy girl, you should have did your damn research before you moved all the way to Ohio. So they won't let Indy and her mom pick up Harry from the prison and transport him to the halfway house. So the prison set up some transportation for him from the prison to the halfway house in a van. And Indy's convinced that her and her mom will be able to follow the van and get to see Harry between getting out of the van and walking into the halfway house. So then Harry called Indy, and Indy shared with Harry that she has rings for the both of them. And that was a surprise to Harry. He had no idea. And she said the rings aren't ideal, but they'll do the job for now. Another reason why she wants to give Harry this ring is because she wants to make sure he wears it the whole time he's in the halfway house, so everyone knows he's taken. So we don't have like another Talsy type situation where he's dating someone and then meets a girl at the halfway house. And I felt bad for Santiva last night after everything she's done for Talsy to find out that he's engaged to a new girl and didn't even have the balls to tell her. Like, but she dodged a major bullet, like I was talking about in my video yesterday, because that girl that Talsy ended up leaving Santiva for, he ended up burning her house down this past week, and that could have been Santiva's house. So then Indy said she wants to be able to hug and kiss Harry when he gets out the van and tell him she loves him, and she's super excited because this is the very first time her and Harry will ever be seeing each other in person. And not only is Harry meeting Indy in person for the first time, but he's also meeting Indy's mom, the bounty hunter. So then it's the day of Harry's release, and Indy's mom takes her to drive to the prison and then to the halfway house to hopefully meet Harry. And Indy's mom said she really doesn't want to be there, but she said she's doing what she's supposed to do and being a mom. And Indy said that she wanted her mom to go with her as well because Indy's hoping that her mom will form a different opinion of Harry after meeting him in person, not be so hard on the relationship. So they wait around for a while at the prison. Harry doesn't get out, and Harry told Indy if they didn't see him after count, then just to go to the halfway house. So Indy and her mom and the production vehicles, they all rush to the halfway house to try to catch Harry before he gets there. So on the way there, Indy's mom told Indy to call the halfway house to see what was going on, and Indy called and explained her fiance was coming to the halfway house. And didn't she buy those wedding rings so they could claim they were husband and wife? So then she turned around and told the person at the halfway house he was just her fiance. But anyway, so she called and said her fiance was coming to the halfway house. She drove all the way up from Maryland, and she was trying to see if she could see Harry today and what the rules and regulations were for visits and whatnot. So the person at the halfway house told Indy that if Harry's coming there, he'll be able to make 3 phone calls calls. That's it. And I wonder if he meant like 3 phone calls in total or 3 a day or what, because if it's 3 in total, that's super whack. But he said there's no visitation at the halfway house and explained that visitation was cut off due to COVID, and Indy should have considered that as well. Like, she hasn't been able to visit Harry in prison because of the virus, so she should have taken that into consideration, that there's a good chance that visitation at the halfway house wouldn't be allowed as well. So Indy's mom asked to talk to the supervisor, explained that they drove all the way up from Maryland to see Harry, and Indy's mom was pissed. She said this is what happens when you don't plan, and Indy didn't plan one bit. And you can tell that her mom is frustrated, but you know, Indy's 29 years old, and when your children get to that age, you know, you can tell them what's best for them, but you kind of got to sit back and let them make their own decisions and learn their own lessons. And so I think that's kind of where she's at right now. So Indy said she didn't even think to plan or check into any of this before, because Harry promised her in prison that he knew other people who had been at halfway houses and were able to get visits, but that was probably before COVID, and every halfway house is different. So the supervisor got on the phone and explained they didn't have visitation because of COVID, basically repeated everything that the other person had said before she got on the phone, and she said that the only passes that Harry will get in the first 30 days is to go job searching. And Indy's mom felt bad for Indy because she just moved all the way across the country for what? Because she still can't see Harry. Like, she just got so excited she didn't think anything through and impulsively just up and moved her and her daughter, and all this could have just been easily avoided. She just made that simple phone call to the halfway house before moving down there. So Indy started having a meltdown and made her mom pull over, and she was crying and super upset. And Indy, girl, you need to call your sidekick and tell her to run your money, because her readings got you looking real crazy right now. And Indy was sitting there having a literal meltdown while her mom was just sitting there checking her nails. Her mom seems like she's used to Indy's dramatics though, and her mom probably saw all this coming, to be honest. And I think Indy should have stayed in Maryland because her mom was helping her and her daughter financially, and I don't see Harry's family taking care of Indy financially like she's hoping they will. And then they showed in the first look in next week's episode that Indy met all of Harry's family in person, and she had them all come over to the motel parking lot. And they're all getting along at first, but then Harry's family started to push back after they realized how fast Indy was rushing everything and already talking about a wedding, getting married ASAP to Harry, and already having her daughter call Harry dad. And I agree. Like, I don't think that you should just be having your kids call any man daddy, especially when that man hasn't got out and proved himself outside of jail. Like, you don't want just like, because that's going to be traumatizing for your child when you sit there and your child builds a deeper relationship and thinks that person's her daddy, and then something happens. And okay, scratch what I said, not traumatizing, but you know, it's not good for your child to just sit there and have any man come to your life and call them daddy, especially when you haven't seen how his skills are with your daughter in real life. Like, you've only seen how he handles her over the phone. You don't know how he handles her through the good, the bad, the ugly. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.